Hello, folks. This is Joe from My Geek Scene. I'm here at JAFAX with the founder of Playing with Power, Mark Lego. Mark, how are you doing, sir?
Fantastic. We just got done playing a show and had a good crowd, and it was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
I would agree.
A little sweaty, but good.
I wouldn't agree about you being sweaty, but I would agree that it was a good set.
Yeah.
And I had to cut out like half an hour early to get this whole thing set up, but because I wanted to interview, and this is actually the first time that I'm interviewing you specifically about Playing with Power. Granted, yes, I've interviewed you in the past, but this time, because of how long you've been around, I was like, it's about time that I've interviewed you.
Yeah, let's do this.
So for those who aren't familiar, Playing with Power is a VGM band or video game music band based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. So, Mark, how did the band start?
Yeah, so our roots can actually be traced all the way back to 1998 at an event in Sparta, Michigan called Spartapalooza. And yeah, and I played in a really killer high school band called Clayton. I'm sure you guys have all heard of Clayton. And
the real reason why I wanted to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, our stuff's out there. You can find it on the internet, but you got to dig deep.
I was not aware of that. That might be for a different interview coming up down the road.
But we were playing, and they had two stages at Spartapalooza. And on the stage, one stage would be playing while the other stage was setting up. So there's always music. And while we were tearing down, the band that was playing across the way started playing. They're playing music, and my buddy and I look at each other. We're like, why do we know this? This is Punch Out. They were playing music from Mike Tyson's Punch Out back in 1998, and it happened to be Randy Monroe's band. And Randy Monroe and I founded Playing with Power back in 2010, and we met at that show, and then we wound up going to Grand Rapids Community College together and studying music there. And we would play, Zelda music and whatnot in the hallways all the time.
Nice.
And then eventually we just started thinking in like 2009, we should just do more with this because it's a lot of fun. We've been having fun with this for 13 years. And so we formed Playing with Power, and it was a two-piece group for a long time. And then now it's been 14 years of being a band, I think.
So I should have held off for like one more year to have the 15-year anniversary. No, all right. On your album, Pause, I'd Rather Play, it stated in the liner notes, the band doesn't follow the metal heavy rock trend in the video game scene, rather mixes clean timbers with a tasteful overdrive. Why that approach to VGM covers? Yeah,
so a lot of that came from, we were drawn to the sounds of like The Advantage. That was our main influence when we started doing this in earnest. And, they didn't go with a super heavy approach to their playing all the time. So we thought, well, what can we do with that? That's similar to that style. But, Randy and I had both been kind of classically trained musicians. So we were like, well, why don't we do some stuff that's got some cleaner timbres and cleaner tones and mix it in some distortion, give us some dynamic contrast that way. And that was kind of the impetus for that. But now we just do whatever we want. I don't know. There's no.
Well, I've noticed like over the years when watching you perform and stuff, there definitely seems to be more of a punch, to your sound. And I recall, I think it was definitely for when you opened up for Bit Brigade a few years back, where when you were playing Plok, which we'll get into later, it had more of like a relaxed jam band feel. Like you were just going with the groove of the music and just playing stuff. Well, yes, it was controlled, but like to me, not to say like your past performances were like uptight, but I was like, wow, they seem really relaxed on stage and just having a good flow with this. And this is definitely like the live version of that is longer than like your recorded version.
Yeah. That one, we don't have a click or anything on stage. So that was one where we just counted it off a little slow. And then we were like, let's go with it. This kind of feels good. And
yeah, it's nice.
We've since played it closer to the studio recording tempo. But that first time I remember that. I think it's a minute longer, but we're just kind of living in it. We're like, actually, let's not push tempo. Like we were all looking at each other and nodding like, this is good. So
those moments when things just click.
Yeah. It felt great.
Your album seemed to be a mix of well-known VGM hits with some obscure songs thrown in for fun. On the obscure side, some examples are match music from Kings of the Beach, Bay Area from Mighty Final Fight, and James Bond Jr. Level 1. is there a specific approach to picking songs that you would like to? Is there a specific approach to songs that you would like to cover?
Yeah.
I would love if that was just your answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like left it at that.
There is. It's a secret recipe. No, we tonight at our show, our previous drummer happened to be in town, John Van Dynen, and he said, the way he put it, he goes, "I like how you play the songs that you guys clearly want to play. You give the audience some stuff too, but you play stuff that," he said, "I think the way to describe you guys would be you're probably more likely to be known as every VGM band's favorite VGM band." Because and I don't think that's true, but we try to play stuff that, we find the underappreciated gem and find the stuff that we really like. But we do like to mix in some stuff that we know the audience will like too. So we always, the last few years, we've always ended with this huge Turtles medley. So we give the audience some stuff, and then, two of the members of the band are public school teachers, so we educate the audience a little bit on some stuff that they should know about too. So like Plok.
Yes, we will get into that.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about your tribute, your part in the tribute album 64. The two songs that you did was Mario 64's Koopa Road and Chopper Attack Level 5. Did they give you suggestions for like games to choose from, or was it just up to you? Because that is a massive 5-disc album.
It's so good.
And it's free. Like, you can find that on Bandcamp. Just look up Tribute Album 64.
It is so good. The album art on it is so cool too. But
yes.
It's great. We were just asked to be on that and said pick a song or two, and so that was one of those where like we'll give the audience something and give ourselves something. So did Koopa's Road, which people know, and we've played that live a number of times, and then Chopper Attack was one where like, this is almost bad, so let's do it. It's kind of schlocky, like guitar stuff, but it was fun to do. So,
all right. Well, let's actually talk about, I don't necessarily have any questions about it, but like your last release that you've done was Continue Part 1. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Part 1.
Feel free to talk about it.
Yeah. Should I talk about Part 1 or should I talk about the inevitable?
Well, that could be at like the end. Okay,
all right. That could be at the end. Well, and maybe it won't even be a Part 2. But
it won't.
It would be great if we just named it something different and just.
Oh, I would love that one. Just do over. That would be like the name of the next album.
Just Part 1. Just let it live. But Part 1. We hadn't done a studio recording since I want to say 2016, and so that sounds about right. Continue Part 1 22 when we released that. I think it was.
Dude, I don't have Bandcamp.
I think it was 22 that we released that. So it had been 6 years, and we've been releasing pretty regularly. So it was kind of one of those things where it was like. We even teased online like the falling from the building scene, and then continue above it, and then we had the countdown going up to it, and then it was like, yep, we're still alive, we're still here. That was kind of our return post COVID. So Continue Part 1, and that was it's Part 1.
It's a good album. I mean, and it features, that was my first introduction to Plok, the beach theme from Plok, and actually just recently. I had found like the original soundtrack and like listened to it, and I wanted to see like the differences from it and like what you folks had pulled out of that song and created. It's a phenomenal cover, and I'm not just saying that just to blow smoke up your ass. I love that cover, and I was like, I'm gonna be honest, I feel it's like way better than the original song, and the original song's pretty good, and it's very unique, like in its approach.
Yep. Yeah, that Ryan Limbeck, one of our guitarists, and Chris Bardolph, our other guitarist. Ryan was kind of the big push. Chris and I were always aware of like Tim Fallon's stuff, and we liked his stuff a lot. And then we showed it to Ryan, and Ryan if something grabs him, it doesn't let go. So like then he was like, all right, we're doing it. I'm like, oh, this is real. We're actually going to do some Tim Fallon stuff. So, so Plok was kind of once Ryan was on board, then it was all systems go. So
yeah, it's a great song. And for those that are watching this, please go check out that song. Check it out both live and check out the recorded version. It's well worth listening to. So which songs would you like to cover in the future for not necessarily an album called Continue Part 2?
Yeah. You know, there's the Golden Warship level from Solar Jetman that has been like on my radar for 15, 16 years now, that I would love to do that one. That's a great one. But I don't know how much I can say without giving away like what is going to be on the next
fair.
album. But I will say there's, if you like Octopath Traveler, there's going to be something from Octopath Traveler 2 on the next album. So we're going to be dabbling with a couple newer tunes as well as bringing back some classics. We'll do some Turtles stuff on the next album too. There's some stuff there. There's a song from Top Gun 2 that I would love to do, but it was one of those that would be studio magic that makes that happen. That would not be playable live, and we're not big fans of doing stuff that we can't duplicate on stage. So
That's a good approach.
But if we level up in our playing a little bit, then maybe some Top Gun 2.
All right, we'll transition away from playing with power, because I've pretty much covered all that I can for right now.
Sure, yeah.
Without spoiling anything. Let's talk about your other VGM project, All Your Bass.
All Your Bass. Yeah. That's a tuba and trombone and euphonium group. And we so it's a bunch of bass-voiced brass instruments. We were debating, is it going to be all your bass or all your brass? Is that like going too far? Like, will people even catch what we're talking about? So we stuck with all your bass. And yeah, that's one where we play a lot of like anime conventions. We do JAFAX. We've done, I think we did Grand Rapids Comic Con once. We've done, and we do a lot of videos. We did a lot of videos. We're talking about getting a recording session going again this year, but it was, the main goal of that was almost strictly band directors from West Michigan. And we thought, we want to be able to play music that excites us, that's kind of the soundtrack of our childhood, but like also that kids can relate to, our students. And then all of our arrangements, because we do all of our own arrangements for that, and we write out all the music, and we've made that available to a number of band directors who have written us like, hey, I've got a low brass ensemble. I want to feed them something that they would love. So we're like, all right, here's Frog's theme from Chrono Trigger, like
nice.
for low brass. So, yeah.
So are there any plans to record an album officially for that?
Oh man, now you got me thinking.
I'm serious.
There wasn't, but maybe there will be.
There should be.
Yeah.
You know,
we do have high quality recordings out there that we could compile and then add a few to make a more full length album.
Easy there. That's an easy purchase for me. And also it's like, well, it's like one of those things, like, I want albums, so like if I experience something like really cool, like in person, I want to be able to go back and like listen to it and stuff. Yeah. Remember last year when we saw a unicorn? Well, you were driving on the way home, but you did catch it on Twitch. The unicorn of a van of Kingdom of Zeal.
Unreal.
Oh my goodness. You know, and like I now just recently got like a Bobby hooked me up with like a copy of the Twitch stream. I can send it your way. If you
nice.
Check that out.
Yes, I do. Yeah, that was.
But but that goes back to what I'm saying. It's like they don't even have a recording.
They don't, and I felt embarrassed when I heard them. I was like, oh, we were on stage right before them. They were so good. That band is mind blowing. If any of you ever get a chance to catch Kingdom of Zeal, they are
good luck.
Good luck, but
because they've only the show that we saw was their second show, and their first show was 7 years prior. They don't have any recordings. This is like back to like what I was saying. It's like, I want a recording of like their stuff, and I want a recording of All Your Bass because like you do a good show, and I would like to be able to. Yes, I'm harassing like my friend online, like pressuring him to like do a recording. Yeah. You should push more Ocean music out.
I think we will, and I that now you got me thinking. So I think we'll get something out there. The Hyrule Castle was one of my favorite arrangements. I did that one for the group. Mark Wells
from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
that's a very good one.
That's a fun one. But we've done like stuff from Princess Mononoke. We've done the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the God Knows from that. Haruhi Suzumiya, I think is what it is. I've just known that song for a long time. So we've got like some anime stuff too that's a lot of fun to play. Yeah, so all right.
Make a recording. It doesn't even necessarily have to be just strictly VGM. It's just like nerd-centric music.
Yeah. And we did Dragon Ball Z Kai, the opening to that, which is like, it's like real life invincibility music. You listen to that, you're like, nothing's bad. Everything, you're always happier after that one.
Well, speaking of VGM, now we're going to get more into we're going to delve into the VGM side, as if we haven't already. What was your first exposure to VGM bands?
Ooh, that would be Spartapalooza.
Official VGM band.
Yeah.
Was it the Advantage?
No, it would have been the Advantage or Mini Bosses right around that same time. It would have been like 07, 08 when I started, like, it must have been 07 because I think it was a couple of years where Randy and I were listening to that and being like, we should do something. Then we finally did. So,
favorite VGM bands?
Oh man,
excluding yourself.
Well, then none. No. Super Guitar Bros they're good friends of ours, so and they're amazing, and they're always good. I'm gonna list a lot of the ones we played with, but like
that's fine.
Like Arc Impulse is always good. Night of the Round's always good. Bit Brigade is amazing. Played with them, those groups probably more than other groups. The Returners from Austin, they were amazing.
Shout out
Gimmick,
to Lauren.
Yeah, and Gimmick too. Brought both those bands up from Austin for Great Bit Live 4. That was so good. The X Hunters, I wish they were still around. Man,
yeah, for sure.
They were so good. We got to share the stage with them once. That was great.
I love their cover of Magna Centipede from
Oh yeah, it's so good. So I think another band that I really like would be if we're going old school. I mean, I like Temp Sound Solutions, what they were doing, and there's I don't know, there are so many amazing bands. Kingdom of Zeal. Kingdom of Zeal.
The unicorn.
Yeah.
So, all right, next question as far as VGM. Favorite VGM covers?
Okay.
That could be a deep cut, whatever you want.
My favorite VGM, I'm going to give not one singular cover. I'm going to say the Marble Madness tribute album, where Good Marbles Go to Die. That might be the best journey that an album takes you. It goes into the depths of marble hell and then takes you out at the end, and it's out of this world good. I think Where Good Marbles Go to Die is my favorite. I've probably listened to that more than any other VGM.
Is this
recording.
on Bandcamp?
Yeah.
Oh, good, because I was like, I'm not even familiar with this.
Oh, it's so good.
Like, I think like my main exposure to like the Marble Madness soundtrack is watching I actually have a shirt, 88-bit perform select songs from that. And isn't that like a David Wise soundtrack?
It is. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I think it might be someone else, but the NES version, I think David Wise had to listen to that and just transcribe it.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong on that. That might be something else, but I think that's how that came about. But
all right. What would you like to see more of in the VGM scene? Like, for example, like maybe any particular genres or just in general?
Oh, it's already such a great scene with groups doing a lot of different things. I mean, I'm trying to think of a genre that maybe we don't have, like throat singing. That would be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's always a group for, of the ones that I already mentioned. Like if I want to go for the classics, like there's, the Advantage and the Bosses, they're not playing anymore. Bosses kind of are, but it's not, they're not really doing too much. And Advantage has been defunct for a decade plus. But, we try to carry the torch a little bit for that style. And then, but there's so many amazing bands out there that, you want something acoustic, Super Guitar Bros, they're just that amazing. I mean, and then on YouTube, like you got Jonas Lefvert, I think is his name. He's from Sweden, I think, a really great classical guitarist. There's just so much. If you want to find it, I've always been able to find the styles that I want. So
okay, I mean, I would like to see like what I'm appreciating now is like seeing like more people from like different cultural backgrounds putting like their spin on the VGM scene. Case in point, Mariachi Entertainment System is an amazing band.
Yeah, that's true. that slipped my mind. That's one that blew me away when I first heard them. I was like, okay, that's different. That's something new that we need. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I one of the I've played with a lot of groups that are really great, and one of the ones that we played with 3 years ago, I think it was at Pyramid Scheme here in Grand Rapids. The most disappointing crowd ever. It was a Sunday night, and Mega Ran came through.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
we got to open for him, and it was sweet. It was, I mean, that's a legend in the scene, and like his set was so good, and but like it was a Sunday night in Grand Rapids, and it was just.
Oh no, we can't do anything on a Sunday night.
We lived up to the name of Bland Rapids that night. And
oh my goodness!
I think there just wasn't well attended, but Mega Ran, like, what a showman! Like, still gets to work the crowd in such a great way, and I was like, okay, that guy's a pro. Like, that's a pro's pro. So
I guess then I will add more to what I would like to see from
Yeah.
the VGM scene, or like from the nerd-centric scene, at least in Grand Rapids. Oh, I don't know. Showing up and supporting, like when you have an amazing rapper come through and like barely anyone's there,
and he had just landed a song on that new Turtles game that came out.
Yeah, at the time.
Yeah.
Was almost nominated for like a Grammy for like his children's
That's right.
album and stuff,
That's
like
right.
just this past year, but it's just like no one showed up. And like Rand was pretty cool about it, he took it in stride, but I was like upset.
I was embarrassed. Yeah, I was embarrassed for Grand Rapids. I feel like part of that was it was a Sunday night, and we were coming out of COVID still. But I feel like in the last year and a half, Grand Rapids finally gets it. Like, they're starting to show up.
Especially like that last Bit Brigade show that we went to, and that whole house was packed.
That was sweet. Yeah, Super Guitar Bros opened to it.
I was so literally there. I know this has nothing to do with the interview, but I was literally there the night before for a black metal show, a very rare black metal show coming into Grand Rapids. This band from Norway called 1349. They don't do really a whole lot of U.S. tours, but they were like in Grand Rapids of all places. I was like, all right, fine. I'll just go to this because this is one of those rare unicorns that I should probably go see. Like, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I was like, I'll be there to show some support. That room, that room was pretty packed. I was like, wow. And I was like, all right, this show's like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I was just kind of like in the middle, and I could have stayed home. But when I went to the Bit Brigade Super Guitar Bro show the next night, there was even more people.
It was packed.
I was like, I could not believe how many people were there. And I'm like, I hope we can see that energy continue for like other bands that are coming through. You know,
I agree.
Speaking of concerts that were held at the Pyramid Scheme, years ago, you created this thing called Great Bit Live. What was Great Bit Live, and why did you create it? I already know the answer, but...
Yeah. So Great Bit Live, that was GR8, so Grand Rapids 8-Bit Live. And it was a concert where we tried to raise money to purchase new video game and board game equipment and stuff for the kids at the local children's hospital. I had a student who was going through a battle with leukemia at the time, and he wound up winning his battle, which was awesome.
Nice.
But I remember I was asking him, like, hey, what's it like up there? He's like, it can be kind of boring. I was like, well, do you get to play some video games? And he's like, yeah, when the carts aren't being used. I was like, okay, if there's any kids that should have all of the newest video games, it's the kids at the hospital that are going through the toughest time. So we did 5 years of that and raised about $10,000. So
well done. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so it was great. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work, and it got to the point where I needed to save my sanity. So
fair enough. Well, that was actually going to segue into my next question. Like, what lessons did you learn from that whole experience?
Yeah, don't run a convention.
Oh, I could have told you that. And I'm not even a con runner. I just attend them.
It was anything that can go wrong, that you anticipate. You're not going to anticipate everything. All the things that can go wrong will go wrong. So I'm really glad that I'm not running a convention anymore.
But like, go ahead.
It was fun. I have a lot of good memories from it and made some really good friends doing that. And, I'm glad I'm not doing it.
So will Great Bit Live, not the con portion of it, but just the concert series, will that or something similar to that come back down the road?
All right. So you got me going with the All Your Bass album. But
I'm merely just asking questions, dude. I didn't come in here with an agenda. I just want people to learn more about you.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you. I've told you this in person.
Sure.
But like, this deserves to be on camera. This dude right here, when I attended that first Great Bit Live, it had a massive impact on me. It like changed my life for the better because it exposed me to the VGM scene, which I love dearly.
Yeah.
I've heard like a few one-ups covers here and there, but it did not click until I went to that first Great Bit Live prior to the dude passing out. But that's how Mark and I met, but that's a different story.
We could tell that one, but
if you want to. I mean, I can tell my side of that too. But because of that event and my exposure to like the VGM scene, like I have dove into that and I have seen so many awesome bands and listened to many hours of great music and just have had great experiences because of that. Like, dude, you throwing on that event literally changed my life for the better. And I am truly, I know I've said this to you, but I am truly, grateful for like that positive.
Grateful. Great.
I see what you did there. That positive contribution to my life. So thank you so much, dude. Like Great Bit Live was like, I went to all 5 years and I loved every second of it.
Well, and you were one of the people, because I met you the first year.
Oh, geez.
And
you want to talk about that? You want to get into that?
We'll get there, yeah. But that was one of the reasons why I kept doing it, because the first year I was like, man, that was a lot of work, but I think I'm going to do it again. But I remember meeting you there, and I was like, there were so many cool people that like I met from doing that. And so that was like, it was the people that was why I did it for 5 years. But, and then I wanted to hit a goal of 10 grand. That was my goal. So we got that. But the first year we met because I saw you there with a friend of mine. And then midway through, the Super Guitar Bros set, it's quiet. Like
I can remember exactly what song they were playing too.
Were they doing Metroid at that point?
They were doing the Castlevania medley.
I was going to say Castlevania,
and if you go and watch their performance, they start playing Vampire Killer, and you hear me in the background going, yes! Because I was like looking forward to that. I was like, oh my God, they're playing. I was like, I love Vampire Killer. Continue, and I will tell my end of this.
And then if you've ever heard the sound of a bowling ball cracking into a pin at like 100 miles an hour, just an explosion of a bowling ball sound. This dude bounced his head off the ground of the pyramid scheme floor, locked his legs, probably had too much to drink, and passed out and went down back. I'm standing and I see it off to the side, this guy go down, and he bounced his head, and you could hear it over the music being amplified and everything. It was so loud. And all I thought was immediately, I hope he's okay. And also selfishly, please be okay, because I don't want to see headlines tomorrow like local band director organizes a charity event and somebody dies. Like this. But luckily, then you were on the spot. You were Johnny on the spot with that, and Joe shows up and he's just like, "All right, we need to do this." Get his legs up, and you're like, and because you worked in the ER, so
at the time, yes.
Yeah, so you knew what to do, and I was so thankful that someone was, because I was like, I think he's dead, because he was not responsive. But then he came to, and he was fine. So, anyways.
Boy, like my side of that was Super Guitar Bros were playing the.
You were mad.
It was the Castlevania because it was my night off.
Yeah,
I used to work in the emergency department for a long time, so I didn't even hear like the thunk. I had earplugs in for like every concert, so I just happened to like, I'm looking at Super Guitar Bros, and for some reason, out of the corner of my eyes, I just see like a bunch of people in a circle, and in that circle, there's toes pointing up to the ceiling.
Yeah,
and I looked at that, and I was like, I'm not working right now. So I looked back at like Super Guitar Bros, and then I was like, look, no, Super Guitar Bros, them, Super Guitar Bros, them, Super Guitar Bros. I was like, nope. I'm like, then I was like, damn it. And then that's when I went over there and I was like, all right, what's going on? He passed out. And I'm like, and I was like, grab his leg, someone get a chair, someone call 911, And the thing is, though, when the ambulance crew showed up, because of where I worked, I knew who the ambulance the paramedics were. And I was like, oh, hey, how's it going, Mel? And the guy, it's not really breaking HIPAA because he wasn't at the hospital. He was like, I just need some fresh air. And I'm like, no, I think you should go to the emergency department. I just need some fresh air. And here's the thing with like paramedics is if you're not under the influence of anything, they cannot make you go there, you know, unless it's like court ordered. But if you're not under the influence, so he just went out and got fresh air, you know, and
he was knocked out. That dude had a concussion.
And the thing is, I saw him like the next year. I'm like, and I half jokingly
standing behind him.
I was like half
trust falls.
No. I wasn't standing behind him. I saw him in line, and I half jokingly was like, well, I hope I, don't see you on the ground again. And he didn't find that funny, but like I got a little bit of chuckle out of that. But back to my initial question before we went off on that rant. Will something similar come back to that? Not necessarily a fundraiser, but just like a concert series.
It would have to be someone else that runs it.
That's completely fine, dude.
I love putting together a show every once in a while when I get the itch, but a regular series that's not for me anymore. So
that's fine. Like legit, if I was like rich and I was like running an annual show, I'd hire you as one of the people to book bands for me.
Sure.
I'd make sure that you were well compensated.
If I didn't have to worry about like the fundraising for that, because with Great Bit, I was always fundraising to get travel fees covered and hotel fees covered for bands, making sure that if they're coming in to help us raise money, that they're not spending any money. And I always wanted to make sure that we raised more money with the event than we did with spending, because you don't want a charity that you don't raise as much from the actual event as you spent on the event.
Oh, yeah.
That's a bad charity. You can't. That's not. You shouldn't be doing your event then. But
just throw on a lemonade stand. You'll make that money back. So we're going into the tail end of this. We're definitely in the latter half of this interview. So I want to talk about, for like the final topics, is video games.
Yeah.
So, what do video games mean to you?
They. I mean, the reason I do this, playing video game groups, is it's the soundtrack of my childhood, and I get to have complete autonomy over, like, okay, I want to play music that I like, and that so we get to play all the stuff that we grew up listening to and the stuff that we're playing to these days. But video games, I've ever since I was a kid, I always liked playing them. I was always if my brothers watch this, they might disagree, but I was always better than them. So, that I liked that a lot.
I've seen your brother; he's massive.
Yeah, I'm the run to the litter. I'm 6'6", and they're both 6'8". So,
and swole.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. For me at this point in my life, it's a fun diversion once or twice a week if I'm lucky. But I'll play like. If a game gets its hooks in me, like Elden Ring did a year and a half ago, that game got me good.
Are you going to be getting the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC?
That DLC is going to get me good. Yeah.
First game you bought with your own money?
This was that. Yeah, that's easy. That my brothers, they were both worked in the Advance was a newspaper that went out once a week, and every 2 weeks you got a paycheck for $12. We delivered like 300 houses, and they had the job. They made most of the money. I saved up like a few bucks for my allowances, but we all chipped in and we bought Star Tropics. We poured over the Nintendo Power issues, finding a game that we thought would be good, and that was the one that really hooked us. We were like, okay, that's the one where we know that it's got a 4.7 for graphics or whatever, and like it looks good. So we did Star Tropics. That was the first one that I bought. But yeah, $12 every 2 weeks. What a job.
Can I throw out something?
Yeah.
All right. So it wasn't necessarily a game that I purchased, but it was purchased for me, and we legit had to put this on layaway at Kmart back in the day. Yes. That's how long ago.
Yeah.
It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, The Manhattan Project.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, back in the day, people were complaining about games like being like $70. Now, that game was $70 on layaway for a Nintendo cartridge.
Yeah. I mean, games have not gone up in price in 30 years. They've always, they're not expensive now. They're really cheap. Think like $70, like Chrono Trigger, when that came out, what was that, $90?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But it's just like, it depends. Like, what, platform are we talking about? Because you've heard my gripes, and I'll be fine with stating this. Yeah. Nintendo has lost their mind with some of the pricing on their games. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, which is a 10-year-old game that had just a 1080p refresh.
Should have been $25.
Or 40 tops, not 60. Yeah. You are out of your mind, Nintendo.
I agree on that one.
Because whenever I watched the recent Nintendo Direct, and I'm like, that's going to be a $60 game. That's a $60 game. Yep. That's a $60 game. And I'm like, and Nintendo knows that as much as people gripe about it, they're like, we know you're still going to buy it. The same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. That was $70. And I'm like, I feel that was worth the price.
That was worth it.
But when people were complaining about it, Nintendo's like, all right, go ahead and get it somewhere else. Yeah. Oh, that's right. You can't.
You can't.
So
come back to daddy.
You know you're going to buy it yeah, you're right, Nintendo. Yeah. And I was like, all right, then stop your complaining.
Sorry, Nintendo. I mean, if I take my family to the movies now, I got 2 kids, and the 4 of us go to see a movie and we get popcorn and drinks. We're at $100.
Seriously?
I mean, it's $90. It's $90.
That's a lot of money for a 2-hour at best experience.
Tears of the Kingdom, $70.
That's
how many hours did I get out of that?
I've already had 200 hours into
Yeah.
it, and I still haven't finished it. I'm like on a break right now.
Yeah, I think I put about like 170 into that, and it's like, okay, that's my bang for your buck. Like that's way better than going to the movies.
For sure. And oddly enough, it's like, yeah, I played a lot of this open world game. I'm getting fatigued. And like now, months later, I'm now playing through Red Dead Redemption 2 again on my PC because I built a gaming PC and I'm exploring it through that. And it's like awesome.
I like Red Dead. Chris, the guitarist in the band, he played a bit of that, and then also was playing Skyrim. We've been playing that recently.
Okay.
That was my first time ever playing Skyrim. But he's like, I had to uninstall the game because I couldn't go anywhere. I had a bounty everywhere.
Oh, you talking about Red Dead 2?
No, this was in Skyrim.
Oh,
like,
okay.
He just messed up. He's like, I ruined the game. I broke it. Everywhere he goes, like, hey, wait, I know you. And like, crap. All right, we're going to do this. And then the bounty goes higher. And
can you pay off? I've never played any of like.
there are ways to do it.
Can you pay off your bounty like you can in Red Dead 2?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. You go on a murdering spree, but just pay off that $50 bounty. You're like, oh, everything's good.
I know. You're good now. Red Dead, I messed that one up early because I killed somebody and then somebody saw it and I chased them down. I'm like, I can't explain to you that they were trying to rob me. So I'm going to have to explain it to you with my fists. Someone saw that now.
Yeah. They definitely need to like.
I had to restart that game. So.
Well, I mean, I saw that you were like playing that. So like eventually, like not even in the interview, I'd like to hear your experiences down the road about it because it's definitely a top 10 game for me of all time.
Sure.
Which video games did you emotionally connect with growing up?
Oh man. You know, I think the first game that emotionally affected me was Mega Man 2, the ending cutscene. Like seeing Mega Man walk and like seeing the seasons change and stuff. Like I got a really like just kind of a melancholy feel while I'm watching. I'm like, what? I didn't know the game could do this. And like, but the other games that really grabbed me, the Final Fantasy games growing up, all emotionally affected me. I loved those games.
The Nintendo versions and the Super Nintendos, or are we talking about like 7 and on?
Even Final Fantasy 1 up through 6. So Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3 here in the States. And like those really got me. Final Fantasy 1, like I remember going back in time at the end of the game to the Chaos Temple as it was 1,000 years ago and being like, man, I don't know, that really got to me. But I think the game that affected me the most as an adult is probably Kirby's Epic Yarn, and it's just because my kid played that with me.
Fantastic
It's
game.
so good. And
That's definitely a top 10 for me.
Yeah, it was my 12-year-old when she was 5 or 6. That was the first game we ever played through together. And at the beginning of that game, you're at the title screen, and after like 10 seconds, Kirby will wave at you, and then she'd always, when we'd play the game, she'd always say, we have to wait for Kirby to wave hello before we start. And then when we beat the game, the end credits are rolling, and like I look and I see that like a frown is starting to form for her, and then it goes back to the title screen, and she's waiting, and Kirby waves. She goes, "Oh, I didn't know that he was waving goodbye." And I was like, "Oh, jeez!" Like that just like I just broke down at that point too. And that night, like we had conversations about like endings, things coming to an end. Like I had no idea that Kirby's Epic Yarn would be a vehicle for those kind of conversations, but it was amazing. So
it's a great game.
It is really good.
It surprised me like at how good it was.
That soundtrack too.
Oh my goodness.
Out of this world.
Cool caves.
It's so good.
Lava Landing.
Yeah.
And I love a VGM cover that I love. The now defunct Hit Points, their cover of Lava Landing.
Yeah.
It was that bluegrass cover band.
We did Outer Rings from that a couple years ago too.
Nice.
In Chicago. So
it's a fantastic soundtrack, and I'm disappointed that Nintendo has not ported that to like the current system. The last game that you can get is on the 3DS.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Bring it to the Switch. Come on.
Yeah, easy. Underrated video games.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I only play games that are properly rated. Okay. I don't know if there's a game that jumps out at me as being underrated right now. I mean, Star Tropics. Like, I would love to see a reboot of that. It's such a weird game. Fighting with a yo-yo was great. Good soundtrack in that game too. Yeah, I'm gonna watch this whenever you post it and be like, Mark, come on. You had a list of like 20.
All right, we'll go with the opposite spectrum of that. Overrated video games.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's opinionated on that one.
Yeah. I, overrated. I'm gonna have to. I don't want to make people mad.
This is your
I know,
opinion.
this is my opinion. I think that it's a lot of new games. I'm not going to be able to name one specifically, but if the game has more cutscene than game, that's overrated in my opinion. Like games can tell stories, but let me have agency way more than not. And like if I get to a cutscene and I have to watch something, that's fine. But if I have to watch something, if I'm watching a movie, I'll just watch a movie. Like let me play.
So you haven't played Metal Gear Solid 4 with the hour-long cutscene?
No.
Yeah.
So let's go with Metal Gear Solid 4. Come at me, people.
What are you currently playing right now?
Right now, I'm playing Skyrim for the first time ever, which is 12 years late, but it's a lot of fun.
That's the great thing about like a good game.
Yeah.
It's like it can be not necessarily eternal, but a great game is a great game.
Yeah. And I think it came out in 2011, so it's been 13 years, and
they've re-released it about at least that many
yeah,
times
yeah,
too. So.
Yeah. And it has 1995 AI in it, which I love. So like, it's great. I'm playing that and Shadows of the Erd Tree, Elden Ring when that comes out.
That already came out.
Oh, that's right today, didn't it?
I want to say yes.
Yeah.
That's not my area. I don't feel like getting stressed out.
Yeah,
Getting whomped over and over and over again. I'm not here to get good. I just want to enjoy the game.
I'm there to break the game. I just make a glass cannon mage and stay as far away from the enemies as possible and hit them with kamehamehas.
So I think that you've kind of essentially answered my question of upcoming games that you were looking forward to.
Yeah, that Metroid Prime 4.
Oh, it was interesting to see.
Finally, yeah. I'm waiting for next June when the video comes out and says, "Please understand." Oh, we're gonna wait another 7 years.
We're gonna put this on the Switch's successor.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Mark. Well, as we're wrapping this up, my final 3 questions.
Yeah.
What's new that you would like to talk about?
Yeah, with Playing with Power.
Yes.
We are finishing up the track listing for the new album. Our whittling knives haven't been sharp. We had a long list, but we knew we couldn't do it all. But it's been tough to whittle it down. But
Continue part 3.
Continue part 2.
And then continue part 3 if you have that many songs.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe a different name at that point. I don't know. This next album, it's going to be Continue Part 2, but that's going to be like a small title. We have got another title for it. So, yeah. I don't want to ruin the surprise on that one.
That's fair.
So,
That's fair. When it comes
it's
out,
a fun one, though. So,
if people wanted to find you online, social media-wise for Playing with Power, where can they find you?
we're on Twitter. We are on Facebook, and that's it because I'm old and so no Instagram or anything. But you can find us on YouTube. That's where you're going to find all of our live recordings or we've got a lot of live videos there. So our YouTube channel, and then Bandcamp is where you can get all of our music, and it's all name your own price. So if you see it and you want to just grab it, cool, that's fine. You can take it and run. I won't know.
Pay some money for it.
But if you want to
folks.
throw a couple bucks, that's also cool. So
And it's all under Playing with Power?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Final question. What is your message for the fans of Playing with Power throughout all the years?
Yeah. Thanks for supporting us in any way. Like, it's been really fun to do this. This has been, most people that do VGM don't go in it to make money. Some people do, and that's great. Good for them because you figured it out and people really turn out for you. But we've lost way more money than we've gained on it, and it's a passion project. We do it because we like it, and it's a lot of fun. So thanks for watching and for listening, because we do it because it's fun, and we hope that it's fun for the audience. So yeah.
All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for the interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, folks, this is Joe from my geek scene at JAFAX with Mark from Playing with Power. Take it easy.